Okay, I wanted to go over this bombshell article in Vanity Fair discussing the national coronavirus testing plan that was supposed to go into effect and Jared Kushner, because this is just it's crazy. It's depraved, it's vile, it's monstrous, and it really peels a few layers back of the onion of that is Jared Kushner. So let's take a look at the article. This company, Cogna Technology Solutions, which had sold 3.5 million tests for the total of $52 million to the White House COVID test. Long story short, they basically all 3.5 million tests they didn't work. So whoever, not sure who was to blame on this, whether it was the sender, the receiver, the middleman shipping it, the logistics of it, how they were stored on the route to the United States, who knows? But they were completely unusable, which is awful, and it definitely falls back on the administration, though. It looks bad on Trump and the administration. But going through this article some here, Jared Kushner let's remember, he wasn't elected. He doesn't hold any position, wasn't appointed to any position or anything like that by Donald Trump. We have nepotism laws. So let's preface all of that before we get into this. And then Donald Trump basically appointed Kushner with coming up with a national testing plan for COVID-19 in the United States. And it did not go well, to say the least. But why didn't it go well? He garnered some help from an old college roommate named Adam Bowler, who is a chief executive officer at the U.S. International Development of Finance Corporation. So tell me what that has anything to do with public health or virology or even logistics, getting the test out. Like, nothing has nothing to do with anything, but he's a friend, so he got some help. And then we have a Morgan Stanley banker that he thought would be a good addition to his team. And then a Silicon Valley investor, another great addition to his team. None of these people have any expertise in anything that would resemble a national testing plan for a novel virus sweeping the country. But that's just part of the incompetence of this plan. We're going to get to the evil nature of what happened. This is incompetence, and they hammered out a plan. So the plan called for federal government to coordinate distribution of test kits so they could surge to heavily affected areas and oversee national contact tracing infrastructure. So you're thinking like, okay, they're putting together something. Okay, here we get to what makes this evil. Really what couples the incompetence with just pure monstrous and more incompetence of not understanding how a virus is going to spread, and you can't really contain it in one city without proper precautions and steps taken to contain it. So, most troubling of all, perhaps, was a sentiment the expert said a member of Kushner's team expressed, that because the virus had hit blue states hardest, a national plan was unnecessary and would not make sense politically. The political folks believed that because it was going to be relegated to Democratic states, that they could blame those governors, and that would be an effective political strategy, said the expert. That logic may have swayed Kushner. It was very clear that Jared was ultimately the decision maker as to what plan was going to come out, the expert said. So really, you had Jared Kushner appointed to heading up a national testing plan and contact tracing for, again, he was not an elected official. He can't be appointed to these positions by Donald Trump. He has no expertise to do any of this. He gets help and garners help from people who also have no expertise in these areas. They're just friends of his. And they're hammering out some sort of plan to get this going when it's brought to his attention by someone on the team that it would actually be best if they did nothing, because the virus is mainly hitting Democratic cities and states. And lo and behold, no plan was rolled out. Nothing happened. And as the expert who gave the information on this article states, the buck stopped with Kushner. He was the man in charge of it all, so he was the one actually making the final decisions. So one can only then come to the conclusion that he actually killed people. And it was okay with him because it was people who vote Democrats, people who have different opinions, people who have different ideas about how the country should be ran. He thought it would be okay if they died, to use them in a political game so that they can blame blue state governors, and that would in turn make red state governors and Trump look good. That is levels of just depravity that we haven't seen in quite some time. But not only is it depraved and evil and vile and all that, it's just incompetent, because if you know anything about viral spread, you would know that it's only going to be in blue states for some time. It's going to spread. It's not being contained. You're not doing anything to stop it from spreading. So if you're not doing anything to stop it from spreading, it's only a matter of time before it reaches red states and red cities. So it's a level of malice and incompetence melted together, and you create just a terrible disaster of a situation like this, like not having a national testing plan. The virus kills people in blue states. The virus then spreads out, kills people in red states, destroys the economies in both blue and red states. The Trump administration loses hard. The American people lose hard. And here we are. I mean, there's really no other way to put it. But we have to just remember, not lose sight of just how evil this is. If this is what was done, and they scrapped the national testing plan because it was affecting Democratic states, it's pure evil.